History often recounts tales of strategic brilliance, valor, and technological might, but sometimes victory hinges on something far more unexpected, a tactic so bizarre it transcends conventional warfare. Our story unveils a forgotten chapter where the most unlikely disguise played a pivotal role in a brutal struggle. By 1777, the American Revolution was a war of attrition stretching across the fledgling nation. While major battles raged on the eastern seaboard, a different kind of war simmered on the western frontier. Here, allegiances were fractured, and survival depended on a delicate balance of power between colonists, the British, and powerful Native American nations. Upstate New York was a critical theater. Control of its waterways, particularly the Mohawk River Valley, was vital for both sides. The British sought to sever New England from the other colonies, and their key to this strategy lay in capturing fortifications like Fort Stanwix, a formidable American stronghold. In August 1777, a British expeditionary force led by Brigadier General Barry St. Leger converged on Fort Stanwix. Comprising British regulars, Hessian mercenaries, American Loyalists, and a significant contingent of Native American warriors, primarily Mohawk, Seneca, and Cayuga from the Iroquois Confederacy, their objective was clear: break the American resistance in the West. The revolution divided even the powerful Iroquois. While some sided with the Americans, many, including the Mohawk led by Joseph Brant, allied with the British, seeing it as a way to preserve their lands and way of life against encroaching colonial expansion. As the siege tightened around Fort Stanwix, a relief column was hastily assembled. Led by Brigadier General Nicholas Herkimer, a veteran of frontier warfare, a force of nearly 800 Tryon County militiamen, many of them German Palatine settlers, began their arduous march through the dense wilderness of the Mohawk Valley. Their mission: break the siege. St. Leger's forces were aware of Herkimer's approach. Near a place called Oriskany Creek, they laid a deadly trap. A deep ravine, dense with trees and undergrowth, provided the perfect ambush site. On August 6, 1777, as Herkimer's column entered this natural choke point, they were suddenly engulfed in a hail of gunfire and war cries. The Battle of Oriskany began, one of the bloodiest and most brutal engagements of the war. It was a close-quarters melee, a brutal hand-to-hand struggle where quarter was rarely given. Both sides fought with savage determination. General Herkimer himself was severely wounded, his leg shattered, yet he refused to leave the field, propped against a tree, calmly issuing orders amidst the carnage. The militia, initially caught off guard, regrouped, fighting desperately for survival. As the battle raged and a sudden thunderstorm briefly halted the fighting, a new, unsettling tactic emerged. Among the Native American warriors, a contingent, particularly the Mohawk, employed a shocking deception. Some of them appeared at first glance to be women, dressed in what seemed to be women's garments, skirts, shawls, perhaps even bonnets. They presented an image so utterly out of place on a battlefield that it caused immediate bewilderment among the beleaguered militiamen. But this was no act of surrender or retreat. It was a calculated ruse. At a critical moment, these women shed their disguises, revealing fierce warriors in full battle regalia, lunging with tomahawks and war clubs. The psychological impact was devastating. The shock of seeing ostensibly harmless figures transform into savage combatants shattered the morale of some American ranks. This deception, whether used to draw the enemy closer, to instill terror, or simply to exploit a moment of confusion, was deeply unsettling. It blurred the lines of conventional warfare, striking at the very fabric of expected battlefield behavior, an act of pure psychological terror designed to break the enemy's will to fight. The Battle of Oriskany ended in a stalemate, yet it was a pyrrhic victory for both sides. Herkimer's relief column was decimated, suffering horrendous casualties, nearly half of his force killed or wounded. General Herkimer himself would die of his wounds 10 days later. The British and their allies also suffered heavy losses, particularly among the Native American contingents, eroding their morale and diminishing their capacity to maintain the siege. coupled with a cunning American ruse of false rumors, St. Leger ultimately abandoned the siege and retreated. Fort Stanwix held, securing the Mohawk Valley for the Americans. Oriskany remains one of the most brutal battles of the Revolution, a testament to the desperate fighting on the frontier. The story of soldiers wearing women's clothing, while perhaps embellished over time, underscores the unconventional tactics employed in a war where every advantage, no matter how bizarre, was seized. It highlights the psychological dimensions of conflict, where appearances can be as lethal as any musket ball. Throughout history, unconventional warfare has shaped the course of conflicts. From ancient Greek stratagems to modern special operations, the element of surprise, deception, and psychological manipulation has often proved decisive. It is a battle largely overshadowed by the grand narratives of Saratoga and Yorktown, yet Oriskany offers a chilling glimpse into the raw, often brutal realities of the American Revolution. A battle won in part by a shocking deception that turned the very symbols of peace into instruments of war, proving that sometimes the most unexpected costume can be the most potent weapon.